Bonjour, this is Jasmine. Thank you so much for stopping to smell the roses on Rue Madame. For those of you who are new to the neighborhood, I am a writer, a storyteller, and a community builder. I write about culture, politics, parenthood, and my life here in France. It's been a while. Rue Madame has been on hiatus. So I'm very eager to hear about your festivities during the summer. The summer is not over yet, so hopefully you're still taking out in the sun, being safe and healthy, and just enjoying yourselves. And to my patrons, welcome back. I wanted to get your feedback on the last video I did about the differences between work in the United States and work in France and how the culture is a bit different. Not necessarily better or worse, I'll let you decide that. And how it was a bit of a re-entry process to the American way. But since I am back in France, I'm very happy about that. I'm actually working on my latest reaction and writing project about my summer and the festivities that has transpired. A lot of fun, a lot of work, a lot of kid stuff. So I'm eager to share that with you. Um, this video is about why I chose not to attend my 10-year and 15-year high school reunion. So I decided to wear my Lathrop jersey. These jerseys were given to us, not given to us, but we were offered these jerseys to buy our senior year. So it's kind of very nostalgic of where I was specifically, and they're customized. Poetic J was mine. So senior year was very um I hate to say it wasn't that memorable, but I'll get into that. But yeah, these are baseball jerseys. Everybody who wants to remember Lathrop and all of the shenanigans therein, we got one of these. I know I have my brother that, what was his name? He said something on his back, and another one had burnt cookie, I think was one of his. So yeah, it brings back memories, and I don't know why I still have this. It's really weird. Like, it's been, again, 15 years. I've moved several times across several continents, and I still have this. Like, and I think I haven't worn it like outside of my house since high school. So, yeah. Um, First, I'd like to talk about how my high school was and what it was known for, etc., just to give you like a feel of what it was like, and then I'll share my experience. So I went to a suburban school of Metro Detroit, and I would consider it like a diet Detroit, if that makes sense. So basically, it was like Detroit but bourgeois, you know. As you know, or maybe you don't, a lot of metropolitans are very segregated, and that's very clear if you have lived in the United States at all for any amount of time. So being born in Detroit, it's majority black, 85. I think it's the top three blackest cities in the United States, maybe top five. But going outside of the city, it gets wider and wider and wider as you know, that's how it is. So I was like not too far from Detroit, maybe 30 minutes, not even, in the car, 25 minutes, whatever. So it was still black, but it was more middle class and sometimes upper class. and some mix. It was more of a mix. I wasn't even aware that the ethnic group Chaldean even existed until I moved to, the outskirts of Detroit, which is sad. That's how isolated and inundated we are with just what we know. So my high school was predominantly black, but there was a lot of other cultures, and not a lot, but there were other cultures as well, Chaldean, some white, some Asian American, etc. But mostly black. And what else? Middle class, um, you know, middle of the road type city. And for the most part, I had a decent experience in high school. And I think now, in retrospect, high school and school in general is what you make it. So I would say most of my experience was my lack of um, risk taking as an adolescent, and going through puberty and not wanting to embarrass myself, for example, or be ridiculed, since those years are very sensitive and tumultuous if you allow them. So um, yeah. So we had a football team and a basketball team. We had a tennis court, a tennis team, I believe, and I didn't even know we had a golf team until after the fact. And my one of my good friends, her husband, said, "Yeah, I played golf in high school." Blah blah blah. I was like, "Really? We had that, but we had a lot of extracurricular activities, and compared to France, I always make that comparison because uh, growing growing up in the United States and not seeing the benefits, because I always talk about how France is more social leaning or socialist leaning country, but there's ups, downs, benefits, and disadvantages, pros, cons in both contexts. But like when I was a English teacher assistant back in the day here, I it opened my eyes to the lack of sports and sports related activities that is in actually in the school. I mean, of course they have sports and things like that, but it's more a club that you would join outside of school, or something you would do on your own, compared to in the United States where your football, basketball, debate team, all of that is like really inside your school. So it was quite different in that sense. But back to my high school. Um, so that was my high school. We didn't have a dress code the first year that I was in high school, but we did have a dress code in the next 3 years in my high school. And another difference is high school in the United States is typically 4 years, and in France is only 3 years, because they do 4 years of middle school instead of three. So it's kind of like a swap. And so I guess the dress code was to implement some type of um, civil aesthetic to the young people growing up in at that time. I graduated in '06, so I think at that time they were like, okay, it's getting out of hand. Maybe I don't know what their logic was to why they implemented a dress code, or maybe the fact that um, the banlieue, the suburbs, were getting more and more brown and black, that they decided to switch it up and be like, oh, okay, so now the jeans and long t-shirts and all that. Mm. So our dress code was khaki shorts or pants, no blue jeans, and we were required to have a collared shirt. I don't know if it was required to have it tucked in or not, but collar shirt and khaki or non jeans. And I don't know, was gym shoes a problem? I don't know if we were required to wear gym shoes or not. I don't know, but I know khaki and the collar shirt. Okay. I mean, I think that kind of irked our class and our, the kids at the time because it's like, why? Like, what is the point of that? But what made it so inconvenient, and I think it was unjust as well, because I felt like they implemented the dress code more than like our academic achievements, or maybe that's my personal opinion. I, in general, was a average from average to above average student. So, I graduated with no problems and actually enjoyed school up until maybe high school because it just got so political and just unnecessary. Like, it was less about our education and more about um, passing a test. And, I think maybe that's for a lot of schools or most schools, but I just didn't feel like me learning and being authentically enriched as a young, growing human being, soon adult. But it was more, I think, in their minds, in the teachers' minds, in the administration mind, that they were preparing us for college, because I think a lot of us went to college, which was is good because if you go to a lot of inner city, I'll just take Detroit for example, one of the poorest rated education systems by far. I think that's a continuing trend, especially with the cuts in education and the mess of political drama that's been going on for a while. But yeah, so that was that. But I had some really great teachers, like really great. Not all of them, maybe out of a dozen, three or four. But I think that's good. I mean, for that to be to leave an impression on me, I think that's, you can't ask for more, or you can ask for more, but that's not bad. Um, so I was on the honor roll, for example, several years, and but I wasn't the best student, because I remember my last year, I just didn't. It's not that I didn't care, but I was more ready to go to bigger and better things, go off to college, get out of my parents' house, and really just explore myself and get to know my own personality because I felt like there were so many rules that it kind of stifled your creativity. High school really stifled my means of expression just by what we wore. Um, I had a job at the time as well. Had got my first job at 16. I do another video on that. But that was my high school experience. I had my brother who's the same age as me, so that added to my experience as in high school because I had a sibling a year ahead or 2 years ahead, and a sibling in the same grade. So it was a lot of, oh, your brother, or oh, you're related to so and so, and I mean that was, and it wasn't bad or good. It was like, oh yeah, but we really didn't cross paths that much, surprisingly. We talked about mutual people that we knew, but we weren't really in the same clique and we didn't have the same really interests at the time. Um, I think in 11th and 12th, I was a part of the school newspaper, right? Again, the writing aspect. Like, and now I'm at Rue Madame writing articles for you to enjoy. Like, yeah, and I don't regret it because I don't regret many things, but if that would have been something to pursue in college compared to what I actually could pursue, I don't know if that would have changed my trajectory, but who knows? We're here. So with all that being said, what did I think of high school in general? Honestly, I didn't care for high school because of some of the things that I mentioned already, but I don't know, it's just that period, that puberty, getting to know who you are stage, and to top it on, to add to the already um, precarious, time in your life. It's like the high school politics really just irks me a lot in high school, and I feel like maybe at the time I was a lot mature than I even thought, where I just didn't care for the high school drama and the high school um hierarchy, if that makes sense, because there was the jocks and the nerds and the cheerleaders, and just it was just like, get me out of here. That's kind of how I felt at the time. It's like I don't belong to any. I was a loner, and I was and I wasn't, because I have friends that I keep in touch with to this day, and that's maybe two or three. Let's say two that I really consistently keep in contact with. Um, so that's how my experience was. So if you would ask some random person from that year, from my 2006 class, they would be like, who? Because I really tried to get in, get out. I wasn't trying to, make friends, even though I, stuck with one or two. And I was having this conversation with my friend when I was back in the States about being black and awkward. So that's why when Insecure came out and Issa Rae came on the scene, it's like I was more like her and less like the famous black pop star of the of right now. And yeah, that's how. So no, I didn't necessarily like high school. Um, I guess I didn't hate it, but I hated some aspects of it. And other besides the hierarchy, the high school politics, the materialism that was so frequent in that culture. I mean, again, we were 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, so of course you're gonna be in that superficial, materialistic, what was, the newest clothes you have on, and I was, even to this day, I'm not like that. So at that age, I guess I was more of a minimalist, simple, I still wanted to be cute, um, but I was like, especially if you can afford it. Like if you can afford it, that's one thing. But if that doesn't even interest you, that's another. And also, um, in my house, we didn't have cable. We didn't have the latest, you know, technology, or we weren't into the pop. We weren't a pop culture like household. So I didn't know what was latest on VMA or in MTV and stuff like that. So I didn't, you know what I mean? I was kind of like out of the loop in that sense, where I was just like, you know, you know. Um, and it wasn't until senior year really that I really felt confident in myself, and I didn't feel so insecure, and I had good friends to hang out with, and skip a period of school and go, where do we go? Just adventures, So let's go to why I didn't go to my 10-year, 15-year reunion. Uh, First, I live in France. But second, if I was to have lived in a place where I could have went easily back to see old people, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of cringy to even think about going back to see. It's like, why? Why? But for those who went, I thought, I was looking at pictures, because you always get notifications from, the 2006 group. And I post there sometimes videos of things that are related to school or parents, because I know a lot of us are parents now. So I interact, but when I was looking at pictures of what transpired and people having fun, and I was happy to see other people having fun, and I was happy to see other people reminiscing, and it was very nostalgic. But I was like, I don't really know them, and they don't really know me or even know of me probably, because I kept to myself. And the people that I like and care about, I keep in contact with. So what is the point? That's how I feel. And I know a lot of people may feel the same way or may feel differently. So I love to get other people's perspectives, people that went, people that didn't attend. But I think also, and maybe this is an unpopular opinion, I just feel like some people, I'm not going to say everybody, but um, those who liked high school, or those people who felt like that was like the highlight of their youth, probably would attend something like that. Like if that was something that was um, a blossoming, positive, fun experience, of course you're gonna be like, yeah, you remember when this and this and this happened and blah blah blah. But like you could tell like the popular people at the time, of course they're gonna go. Like I was like the man, or I was the girl, I was the girl, that girl. Of course they're gonna want to, I don't know. But for me, it's like the highlight of my life is tomorrow. My highlight is today. My highlight was, coming to France and the family that I've created. And I mean, I guess the idea is to share all of those new experiences from people from the past, which is like very cringy to me, really. um, yeah, I just, mm-mm, no. I mean, I guess I'm fortunate enough to appreciate a period that I've just come from and just be so happy and eager and anxious to look to the next adventure that looking behind me is something I try not to do. And I don't do often. And maybe that is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe that's a quality or a strength and not a weakness, but you'll let me know. But I'm always here, always. And I think that's probably why too. And for my 20-year anniversary, or not their 20-year anniversary, no, our 20-year anniversary, I don't know. I know I heard people talking and insinuating like, yeah, we should do this and that. And it's just good for me to look from a distance, like, oh yeah, I remember that person from that time. It's kind of like looking at another moment in time. You know what I mean? As if I'm so distanced from that period. It's kind of like étrange, very strange and foreign, kind of like, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, that's cute. That's cute. But yeah, that's my sentiments on the subject. Tell me what you think, and feel free to head over to Patreon and like, share, subscribe, become a patron, and add to the neighborhood because we are all residents here, and I'm welcoming more newcomers. So thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.